Okay, in our first news story, China has declared that crypto transactions are illegal, according to the CCP's statement and a bunch of news coverage. And this is part of the continuing crackdown on, obviously, cryptocurrency, virtual currencies. And early this morning, the CCP released a proclamation titled, quote, "Notice on further preventing and disposing of the risk of hype in virtual currency trading." Any quotes we're going to provide from the CCP in this news segment were transcribed by Google Translate, so take it for what it's worth. People are, doing this online and trying to translate it in real time, and it's kind of a breaking news story. So, quote, "Recently, virtual currency trading hype activities have risen, disrupting economic and financial order, breeding illegal and criminal activities such as gambling, illegal fundraising, fraud, pyramid schemes, and money laundering, seriously endangering the safety of people's property. To enforce these rules, China has created a new coordination mechanism across 10 government organizations, from the Supreme Court to the Cyberspace Administration. The CCP will be investing in additional resources to be able to track on-chain activity for a rapid response mechanism for early warning information, transmission, verification, and disposal." So I know, we've talked about this over and over again. China's an authoritarian country. They can change the rules anytime they want. There is no democratic process. And I have been saying this over and over again for the better part of a decade now. What people don't understand is if China is going to ban student uprisings, certain publications, social media platforms, and religions, right? Just look at all that evidence. Religion, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, all of these things are our Constitution as critical to what we do here in the United States. Why would you think they would leave out money? Money is really important. And so here we are. China let cryptocurrency kind of exist in a gray zone for a long time. And we know they banned all the Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin obviously survived that. So that's great for the Bitcoin community, even though all those servers had to be removed. And now we're seeing actual transactions. Now, they didn't say that holding cryptocurrency is illegal yet. Obviously, that will be the next shoe to drop. And we've covered this, for a while. What you can take away from this is the authoritarian governments will be able to act quicker and without much of a process than democracies. So we're going to see this across many different aspects of society. Let's take the aspect of society of wealth disparity. We've seen great wealth disparity because of Alibaba or Amazon, right? On two different continents, two different countries, same situation. One individual, Jeff Bezos, the other individual, Jack Ma, both accumulate massive power, both accumulate massive wealth. Here in the United States, we have people complaining about it. We have people complaining about capital gains tax treatments, people taking loans against their equity. And it's a big, massive discussion and a process. In China, they just said, you know what? You can no longer be that rich. We need to spread the wealth around. And they basically just decided to do wealth redistribution, and they pressed the button. And that is something we're now seeing with privacy. In America, we're having a vibrant debate about our privacy and, Amazon versus Google and Facebook. And China just decided to press the button. No longer can you collect this information, and the government has to have the information, and you have to go through a cybersecurity audit. You get the idea. Then we look at cryptocurrency that did the same thing. We look at kids on social media. They're just going to ban kids from being on social media. We're going to have a messy debate between Facebook executives, researchers, our elected officials, the public, and the press about should we allow kids on Instagram, social media, TikTok, etc. They just push the button. No more. That's it. And if you look at video games, another example, they think it's bad for kids. The studies show too much of it is bad for kids, of course. A little bit is probably not a problem. You can make your own decision. And they just said, hey, these are the new rules. And you can look at this one of two ways. You can look at it and say, well, they're going to get to the right answer quicker. But if you dictate to people this is the right answer and they don't get the chance to process it and be part of the debate, it's kind of a crummy feeling, right? It just makes you a slave to the state and the government. And this is going to backfire in a major way in China. if China keeps squeezing their own citizens, you can't play video games, you can't use social media, you can't do cryptocurrency, you can't practice a religion. These are the things that ferment a revolution. And I actually think what's happening in China right now, as they crack down and they crack down and they tighten their grip, the more they tighten their grip, the more of the freedom fighters and the more of the rebels are going to slip through their fingers. And, you know, it reminds me of something Fred Wilson said in a documentary called Banking on Bitcoin back in 2016. Let's just play this 26-second clip and I'll give you my comments on the other side.
The lesson from the internet is anything that China bans, invest in. That's a joke, but the U.S. allows Google to operate here, allows Twitter to operate here, allows Bitcoin to operate here, allows Facebook to operate here. Chinese government doesn't allow any of those companies to operate the way they operate in this country, or at all. It's about freedom, ultimately.
Yeah, and Fred's exactly right. Friend of the pod, friend of mine. Fred and his wife, Joanne Wilson, and I worked together at Silicon Valley Reporter back in the day. We built that company together and had a great experience. I was actually a consultant for Fred Wilson at Acme Ventures back in the day, the precursor to Flatiron. And I read 2 business plans. One of them was for Beverly Hills Internet, which became GeoCities, which they invested in, was their first big unicorn. And the other one was for American Cybercasting, which produced The Spot. And Masayoshi Son, back in 1995, 96, when I was 24 years old, read my coverage, spelling errors and grammar errors and all, that I gave to Fred Wilson and Jerry Colonna, and they said he really appreciated my insights into those. I don't know where those documents are, but I almost became a venture capitalist instead of a publisher back in the day. Shout out to Fred Wilson and Jerry Colonna, 2 great mentors and friends of mine. So this is what's happening right now, and I think that's the big picture. Now, as we narrow down what's happening here, I think, again, 2 different types of countries have 2 different approaches to changing the rules or setting the standards for society. In an authoritarian country, it's top down. They're dictators. I know a lot of people are neophytes to, the arc of history and world history. But, I've been around long enough to know that in a dictatorship, they may pretend that it's benevolent, but it's not, right? You know that when they get the chance, they're going to slam their fist down and it doesn't matter who's underneath it. And they see any threat to power, they're going to take action. I bought a Jean-Michel Basquiat. I kid you not. Did I buy the whole painting? Of course not. I don't have that kind of cash. Basquiat is one of my favorites. Beautiful art. And I've always wanted to own and have exposure to this class of art. How did I do it? Masterworks. Masterworks securitizes million-dollar paintings, sometimes tens of millions of dollars, as in this case, to allow any investor access to the blue-chip art market. You buy shares in the painting, just like you'd buy shares in a company like Uber or Tesla or SpaceX. And now I own a couple of basis points in a Basquiat. Feels pretty great, I gotta be honest. But I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to insure it. I don't have to deal with it. I just get the gains. Art has been an amazing alternative investment. Contemporary art pieces have outperformed the S&P by 174% from 1995 to 2020, according to Masterworks research. And Masterworks is the first platform giving everyday investors access to this exclusive world. And if you want to join the fun, go to masterworks.io/twist, masterworks.io/twist. You skip the waitlist, and hey, listen, if you're into art and you want to have access to this, you can make a small bet, just like Jake Hell did. So see the important disclosures at masterworks.io/disclaimer, masterworks.io/disclaimer. And, you should be diversified. You don't want to have everything you own in one class, whether it's startups or art. Unless you're really done your diligence, I like to have a nice balanced portfolio. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode.